Running your own real estate investment business can be stressful, time-consuming, and difficult to manage. Where do you start? Why go out and try and reinvent the wheel when we have the answer? With our exclusive training program, we will teach you how to free up your time to build your business, develop your goals, learning where to find the money, how to find better deals, keeping track of offers, building a team, and developing a business plan that works for you. We at Real Impact Real Estate Training and Mentoring have all the answers for you. We have several plans to help you get your business to the next level. We have developed the best one-on-one personal training system in the industry. We have a proven structure that has been developed for more than 50 years through the purchase and sales of thousands of homes and commercial properties. We will help you set up and build your real estate investment business. Whether you are new to investing or you are a seasoned professional, we have a plan for you to customize your business to a method that works, is affordable, and fits your budget. With training modules like finding money, finding deals, learning how to get correct comps, building a team, short sales, subject twos, foreclosures, making multiple offers, understanding auctions, REOs, and tax sales, working to build your construction team, and finding sellers and buyers. Find your property management team, plus over 70 additional training modules to choose from. Sit down with us for a one-on-one consulting to see what training plan is best to develop your goals and to build your business by using the 5 M's of investing: mining, money, maintenance, marketing, and management. Wouldn't your life be great if you can live it on your own terms? We help you develop and structure your business to take massive action. Join the Real Impact Real Estate Training today. Change your life today with real estate investing.
Hey everyone, my name is Renee.
Hey guys, I'm Doug.
And we are so glad to welcome you to our Real Impact television call tonight. We are so excited to have you here with us. And we just want to let you know that at Real Impact, we're an organization that helps real estate investors improve their lives through real estate investing. And you may not be familiar with Real Impact, but we are a number of local franchises in the Texas area where you can jump in and participate in a local real estate meeting. And what's the purpose of this meeting? Well, first of all, it's free. And we want to help you whether you're starting in real estate investing, if you've been doing it for a while and you want to improve your real estate investment, or you want to scale your real estate investment. So again, you can come to meetings for free and learn great things. And that's really what we have to offer at Real Impact.
Networking is very important. That's why we're having this call, because we want to network with you. And we've got a very important and exciting call for tonight. So stay tuned.
Yes, we've got a great speaker coming on in just a little bit. But first of all, I would like to take a minute and introduce you to some of what we call IMTs, which just master trainers. We have these at every one of our locations. So CJ, why don't you go ahead and start putting some of our other trainers up on the line here. Karen Maxwell is in Plano. We've got Tim Lockhart in Wichita Falls, and we have Eric. Oh yeah, he's also got a Denton location. And then Eric Short is located in the Grand Prairie area. Doug and I, of course, are in Longview, and this is just a few of our locations that you can participate in. You'll hear more about that tonight on the call. So, I'm going to take just a minute, and I want to let you know about something else fun that we do besides just having great meetings for you to plug into. And that is, once a year, we host a Mastermind getaway. And our next Mastermind meeting is coming up September 21st through 25th. And we are going to Cancun. I cannot wait. It's called Dreams J Cancun. And it's one of those fabulous all-inclusive resorts. You get the food, you get the bedroom, you get the beach, you get the drinks, you get it all. And the cool thing is we've got a fantastic price for this. It's just $12.95 for you to be a part of this with us from the 24th. And the cool thing is we've got a fantastic price for this. It's just
don't know what happened.
I have no idea what just happened. That was weird.
Okay. Well, anyway, if you can just imagine sitting out in the pool, talking to people that have been doing real estate for 10, 20, 30, 40, or 50 years.
Yeah.
And just soaking in all of the information and talking to people like Tim Lockhart, where you can find money to do your deals.
That's right.
And talking to Karen Maxwell about how to find great deals. Look, there's going to be a lot of people there, and everybody has their specialty, but come join us.
It's 2 adults and 2 children under the age of 2 for just $12.95. It's a great getaway, and we hope you'll consider joining us. If you're interested, it's as simple as going to impactreitraining.com.
This is
actually go to mastermindgetaway.com, and you can learn more about the details of joining us for this fantastic mastermind in Cancun in just a month. It's going to be great.
Now we want to introduce our speaker for the, he's going to be the speaker for our meetings and not this next week, but next week.
Yeah.
And he's also going to do an all-day training and on Saturday. So I'll let Renee take that.
So we have none other than Alan Cowgill. Now, here's the cool thing about Alan. Alan is going to be talking about one of the most interesting topics, one that more people ask questions about, and that is private money. So let me tell you a little bit about Alan Cowgill. He's the owner of Colby Properties. He's the president of Integrity Buyers in Ohio. He's an expert in single-family housing and small multifamily housing. He started in investing all the way back in 1995, which really wasn't that long ago, but time does fly. And he's done over hundreds of deals in real estate investing since that time. Not only is he an investor, but he's also a speaker. Back in 2019, he spoke at 45 different locations that year. So the man's a busy guy. In addition to that, he's an author, he's a consultant, he's a coach. And y'all, you're not going to believe this. This man, over the lifetime of his training different people, he helped his students raise over $500 million in just their first 24 hours under his guidance. So would you help me welcome Alan Cowgill? Yay! We're so glad you're here, Alan.
Yeah, I'm tickled to be here and tickled to get some folks trained tonight.
Awesome. Well, we've got a lot of great questions, and I think Karen was like, let me ask the first one. I really want to ask some questions. So Karen, why don't you take it?
You're muted.
You're muted. Karen, can't hear you.
Sorry. Hey, Alan.
There you go.
So could you just tell us really quickly, because not everyone that's watching may understand, but what is private money and why should real estate investors specifically try to use that in their deals?
Well, what private money is borrowing money from a private individual. You see, what most real estate investors do is they think they have to go to a bank. I did when I got started. And the problem with the bank is that they have all the rules. They have all the control. And so, and there's also people out there that are called hard money lenders. They also have control. And what I found along the way is that private individuals would loan me money to do my real estate deals. And I honed my skills along the way and became an expert at it. My first lender was my mother. And she had committed some money when Dad passed away. And she put the money on a bank certificate of deposit. And listen to this, because it's very important. And she would drive 45 minutes one way, just get a few pennies. And what happened to me was I realized that Mom could use that money for my houses, for my deals. And so I asked her about it, and she said yes. And she was my first private lender. Okay, so it was a win-win, and that's what I always look for. Mom won and I won. She got a high rate of return because she was getting a paltry low rate of return on a bank CD, and I got a high rate of return. Now, what's the bottom line on this? And I think this is the first time I've ever said this to a group. It's control. you want to control your own business. And in doing that, one of the biggest items that you need to control is your money, how to fund your real estate deals. And private lenders afford you that opportunity. So you think about the word control on this, okay? So a private individual will loan you money. You get to set the structure. You get to say how long you're going to use the money, what interest you're going to pay, what you use the money for, obviously. And the private lenders are actually mostly ecstatic because they're getting a substantial higher rate of return than what you would get on a bank certificate of deposit. And so that word control came to me tonight, and I thought, I just should share that because that is exactly why that's so important. There's another piece of this on private lenders, which I just really love. What I found is that when you find a private lender, they're getting such a nice rate of return that they want to brag about it. And so they will go back out and tell other people about how they're getting this nice rate of return. And the next thing you know, you've got a person coming to you wanting to know if they can loan you money. And what I found is every now and then one private lender will bring you two will bring you four. And I've seen that happen to me so many times in my business. In fact, there was one point where I had so much money I couldn't spend it all. So maybe we'll talk more about that in a little bit. So, so you said be quick on the first question there, I think when you got started. So,
Okay. Well, Alan, one question that came up this past week when I was talking to actually one of our other students from one of the other groups, she was asking me what paperwork is needed when you work with private lenders. And she was also really stressed out about who was going to prepare that paperwork.
Oh, okay. Yeah, they prepare things. A lot of people don't ask that question. That's a good question. But you folks that are listening here, you got to write some of this down. You want to have a mortgage, a promissory note, hazard insurance, lender title insurance, and a disclosure. And that's the same documents that a bank would give you on your personal resident, the basic documents. Those are the basic documents. And so to answer your question on who provides all those, the lending institute, or I'm sorry, the attorney, we can have attorneys in Ohio, close deals for us, or a title company. So the mortgage, the promissory note, you would get that set up through them. You'd have an insurance company for the hazard insurance and the title insurance, get that set up. The attorney can get that set up. But on the disclosure, you're going to want to have that created by an attorney. And I think that's the right way to do it. In fact, share something with you I don't normally talk about, but when I gave my mom the disclosure, she says, "Oh, you've come so far." So she was impressed. Okay, it was just something I had to do, Mom. But this disclosure, let's talk about that for a second. What you want to do is disclose to the private lender what you do, who you are, how they can get a hold of you, what interest rate you want to pay. Now the one I use is 9 pages long. And half of that is legal gobbledygook in the back that some attorney put together. But the front part of it has what I just said. It tells the private lender all that. And you want to do one thing. You want to write this down. You want to make sure that you write that in that disclosure statement, you give them the risk and benefits. And you don't want to hide things. You don't want to, leave something out, because the purpose of the disclosure is to what?
Disclose.
Be honest with the private lender, right? So those are the documents. Now I need to disclose something here on this promissory note. You want to there's two paths I'm going to take you down. One is you want to have an attorney put that together for you, and then what you have is a cookie cutter. Okay. But what happened to me was I was doing so much volume that the attorney asked me to handle the promissory note because I like having my private lenders paid on the 15th of the month. Now, why is that important? Well, most people in a promissory note have the payment. Like, think about your bank, what they do. They typically have it set up to where you have to pay the bank on the first of the month. Might be the first or might be the fifth. But what happened to me is with tenants, they know that the rent is due on the first. And so they've known that since birth. But many times they'll be late. And if they're late, that puts you in a bind on your payment if you're doing business with a bank. And you'd have to dig into your pocket to fund that problem. Well, what I decided to do was give myself a couple-week grace period to give that renter time to get their money in, and then I could pay the mortgage. Now, I just picked the 15th of the month randomly. I could have picked the 30th or the 23rd or 4th or something like that. But it has been a dream for me. It has been great because I have control. Here again, it's coming back to that control thing I talked about a few minutes ago. So that's the way I set it up. And so if the renter is a little bit late, I still have to the 15th of the month to have that money come in and then cover that. So to my private lender. So that's the paperwork. And so what happens is the attorney gave me the digital promissory note. And what I do is I put a note at the bottom of the promissory note prorating the first payment to the 15th of the month. And the other thing, just a little bit here to help you, is if I close on a property on the 12th, I don't give somebody a couple days interest. I roll that over to the next month so that the lender gets a bigger check, and then we go from there. Okay, so maybe more than you wanted. Maybe I went too fast on it, but
no, you're fine.
That's what I do. All right.
So, Matthew, let's see. We have a couple of follow-up questions for this. Mark, I know you have a couple questions there. Thank you so much for chatting with us and throwing these questions out there. I'm going to skip one and go back to it because this one pertains to what you were just talking about. Mark is asking, deed of trust, not a mortgage, if you're in a deed of trust state. He's asking if that's correct, because in Texas, we are a deed of trust state.
Yep.
Okay. And then Matthew would like to know, Matthew would like to know, is it common for private lenders to loan on rehab costs as well? And if so, is it a lump sum, or is it based on a draw?
Oh man, I love that question.
That was Matthew.
Yeah. Here's what I do. When I call up a private lender, now I've already gone through to where I've talked to them. They want to loan money, and now they're waiting for my phone call so that they can start getting a high rate of return. So what happens is when I call them up, I don't break this stuff down like you just said. What I do is I give them one number. I say, I need $250,000 for this deal, and or 50,000 or whatever it is, and I give them one number, and they're very happy about that because now they know they're going to start getting a high rate of return, and they send that money in to the title company or to the attorney into the escrow account, and then I close. And so what I don't do is I don't break that stuff down on there. I just give them one number, and that's what they're looking for anyhow. These are what are they doing with the bank CD? They go to a bank and they plunk down a chunk of money, and they're getting a poultry low rate of return, but they don't know where else to go. That's why we have a huge advantage. And once they see that, and I also should tell you that private lenders loan you money based on the fact that they trust you. And so they, you tell them, you give them a disclosure statement, you tell them, about what you do. And when they're in, then they go out and they brag to other people, and you got more private lenders coming in. So yeah, I don't break that down. I don't suggest that you break it down the way you did, but you and I, in our heads, that's exactly what we're doing. We have to figure out, all the pieces of this thing. So I just do the total and go for it. I don't over leverage the house, and just call up, get one number, and they send it in, and they're tickled to send it in. A lot of times they wish I'd have sent in more. There's one other thing I want to bring up right now while I'm thinking about it, is when I sell that house, they will be begging you to keep the money. Now think about that. they don't want that money back. But why? Because they trust you, and why? Because they don't want to stop getting a high rate of return. But you need to tell them that your business, is set up to where you have to pay them back because you want the money secured by real estate. And then you also tell them that you'll crank up your buying machine and get their money working again in the near future. And then they're happy and they go with that.
That's right. That's right.
Yep.
Perfect. We have another question from Mark. He asks, what's the highest LTV that investors typically do?
Well, what I normally do on my rehabs, and rentals stuff is 70% loan to value. But I love subject twos, and I know you folks have some legal stuff on that, but I know there's a way to handle that. But on your subject twos, what I do, it could be an 85% because there's already an 85% bank loan on it, and they deed me the house subject to that, and so I'll go up that high. If it's a really, really high priced house, I might go up to 87%, but not anymore. Not anymore.
Okay, awesome. Brad has a question. He would like to know, what's a realistic range of returns your private lenders expect?
Well, what happens is I pay 3 different ways. Now, most of you listening to me right now, you're going to pay one way, and it'll be one of these 3 that I'm talking about right now. But because I do different types of deals, I've come up over the years to where I have 3 different ways to pay. I started out, I talked about my mom. Let me start with her. It was simple interest only. So let's say it's a $100,000 loan, and let's say in this market I'm paying her 6%. And so $100,000 loan at 6%. At the end of the year, I owe mom $6,000. You divide that by 12 months, you can spread that out like peanut butter and pay her simple interest only. Well, at the end, whenever I sell this property, I still owe mom the $100,000. Okay, because this is a simple interest only deal. Now, that's the way I do there. Now, the other way, which I actually love the most, but have done the least of, unfortunately, is amortized, where they'll amortize a loan. And this market, I know things are changing, but typically, it was 5%. We've even had it as low as 4%. I had one student do it at 1%. But what happens? Let's say it's 5%, and then it amortizes, and so every month the principal and interest are getting paid down, and over time you'd have a free and clear house. Okay, so that's my favorite. But like I said, I didn't do very many of those. Now, the third way, which you people that are buy, fixing, and selling are going to love, or maybe you wholesale folks, depending on the deal. What happens is I don't pay them until I sell the property. So I have no monthly payments. In fact, what I tell them is you get paid when I get paid when I sell the house. Okay. And so for that range, it's 7 to 8%. Now, 2 things. A caveat on that is that you recognize, I'm sure, that if we go too long, this property could be upside down because the interest is building over time. All right. So, you need to know how you're going to get out when you get in. So you're holding on to this property. Let's say you get out to month 18 and it doesn't look like you're going to be able to get this thing done or sold. What I'd want you to do then is amortize the loan. Now you can do that with another private lender because there'll be folks out there that want to do that, or you could have a bank amortize it. Nothing wrong with that. And then you would start paying this thing back down again. In fact, I'll tell you a little side note. This is something I noticed over the years is many times a bank will see us or the private lender as a competitor, and they're more happy or aggressive to come in and fund that deal. So anyhow, no monthly payments. And what I found was about half my lenders will do that. So that answers your questions on the percentages. Like I said at the outset here, if you're only doing flippers, buy, fix, and sell, that last way is the way you want to go. If you're doing 40-unit apartment complexes, then it's the amortization. So, yeah.
So obviously, whatever whatever you can work out with your lender.
Yes. Yeah. You know, the other thing I hear that every now and then, but there's so many times that the lender just takes what you tell them.
This is what I'm offering, and they'll say yes, and
that's it.
Let's get busy.
That's 100%. That's 100%. I mean, I see that it's extremely rare that I have people negotiate with me.
Okay.
And that might shock you, but I'm just telling you how it is.
Absolutely. Mark has a very interesting question, and I bet I know the answer, but I'm going to let Alan answer it. He would like to know if he can get a copy of your disclosures, Alan.
Really?
Really?
Huh. Maybe we can think about that at the Saturday meeting.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I don't normally give that out because it's part of my system.
Okay.
So let me think about it.
All right. Well, Mark, maybe you got us a bonus. Mark, you better make sure you're there on that Saturday, August 20th. Okay, let's see. We do have lots of questions in the chat tonight, so I apologize for interrupting Tim, who's going next. Matthew would like to know if the interest rates are competitive with banks. I think you pretty much answered that just a minute ago in the last question.
Yeah, there's two paths that are coming down as far as the interest rate. One is a huge amount of people get bank CDs. Why? Because it was like my mom, they just don't know where else to go. Now, I had a student of mine here earlier this year take a look at the national average CD rates, and it was a 0085. So let's do the math on this. $100,000 loan at 0085 at the end of 12 months, you have a pathetic $850 in interest. Then you got to pay taxes on it. $850. Okay, that's what's built up over 12 months with a bank CD. Now, with us, think about the numbers I was saying. I started out at 5% there on amortizing. Okay, 5% is multiples of that 0085. 5+ times. That's why people want to loan you money. Now, there's a second path. When I tapped into this is where I tapped in and I ended up with so much money I couldn't spend it all. Is people with 401ks. You want to write this down. People with 401ks that have quit, retired, or gotten laid off. And I'll bet every one of you knows somebody like that. Now, if you don't think you do, get out and ask. Right. If you know somebody that has a 401k and it's a dormant 401k where they have quit, retired, or gotten laid off, and now they moved on, and maybe they've got another job, maybe they're just retired. But what happens with that 401k, when it is freed up like that, they can roll that money over into a self-directed IRA. And with that self-directed IRA, then they can that money can be loaned down to us to fund our real estate deals. And so one of the things I'm going to talk about on Saturday is that the steps on the IRA. And what shocked me when I started teaching that was how many folks really didn't know the structure. And it's very simple, but I started to teach it. So now I'm doing it every time I'll do it on Saturday. So it's just very, very important that you know that. And in doing that, they can be in the same range that I just talked about compared to the bank loan, or maybe not. But at least it's something that it is a mountain of money out there for us to tap into. And most people don't know that, and I didn't teach that until when I hit that time. In fact, I had so much money, I had to hire a guy to go spend it for me. This is a guy that he had two personal residences, a side-by-side double. He lived in one half. Him and his wife Julie finally saved up enough money to put a down payment on a ranch house, and then he lost his job. And I knew he's a good guy. I knew he's pretty smart, and so I hired him. And he came in mid-September one year, and I taught him how to buy houses the same way I did, and I taught him how to get private money. But I had so much money when he came in, he bought me 21 houses from mid-September to Christmas.
Wow.
You got to have some money for that. And then he bought from New Year's to August another 48. And wow. I had to slow him down because the rehabbers couldn't keep up. So, yeah. One time I had I had a hard money lender that wanted me to take over 8 houses, and so I did, and in 2 months I had them all rehabbed and off to the races. So just different places where you can pick up deals, and once people know that you're in the groove on this stuff, they come to you. So yeah, right.
Well, I want to be the go-to money girl, so bring
You
me
what?
bring me your money, people. Bring me your money.
There you go.
Let's see. Matthew would like to know: do you need reserves, and if so, how much?
I don't really do that. I suppose it's a great idea. I mean, I'm just being candid with you. I've never done that because I just cranked up my buying machine. I crank up my money machine, and things work. So what you're worried about is in the gap. If you don't have deals coming through, then are you're going to languish out there. Well, I've just not had that.
Okay. Mark would like to know: how can you be sure that the investor is actually going to lend, like to fund to the title company?
I love that.
Me
question.
too.
Here's what I found. You might want to write this down, jot it down. Is that if you got somebody on a bank CD, now you got to look at it through their eyes, okay? If they're getting this portfolio rate of return like we talked about, like this 0085. In fact, what I like to do, let me go off to the side here for just a second. If you would pick up a Thursday USA Today newspaper and go to the green money tab, go down to the bottom left-hand corner, and many times you'll see national average CD rates. And so I like using the 1 year. Go take a look at it this week and see what it says. And that's your competition. That's your competition, okay?
That's our assignment, everybody. Grab the USA Today on Thursday, money section.
Yeah. So what was I talking about? What was the question again?
How can one be sure that the investor is actually going to fund to the title company?
Yeah, here's the deal: is if they got this CD rate, they're in. You're going to get their money. What I've experienced, 99% of the time, 100% of the time, you're going to get their money. Where you got to be a little bit more aware is on that 401k IRA scenario that I talked to you about. There are times that people say we're going to loan you money, but they fail to roll the 401k into the IRA. Why? I don't know. But every now and then it'll happen, but it only happens 1 out of 10 times. Or maybe out of 10 times, but maybe 85%, 1.5 times. So it's rare. So if they say they're in, what you do on the 401k, that's the only one you got to watch. If you say the 401k, you got to figure out if the money has moved over. So within a week and a half or something like that, you give them a call and ask them how it's going, and they say, well, I haven't done anything yet. Well, then you just don't chase that money. You go find somebody else, okay? And there's a high likelihood that they'll come back and loan you money, but 9 out of 10 times they will. But there's a time where every now and then there's one of them that just doesn't do it. So it's actually opposite of what you probably expect. You probably expect that it's going to be a huge amount of times that they don't show up. It's just the opposite.
Okay, great. Well, thank you very much for that. Tim, I would like to pass it over to you, sir.
Okay. My students want to know what you say to lenders to be successful. Do you have any scripts that you like to use when you're working with private lenders?
My scripts are valuable, so yes, but I'm going to give them to you right now. I'll give you some of them. All right. Here again, you folks are going to write this down. If you are talking to somebody and you want to kind of move into this, you want to say these words. Do you have IRA or investment capital that's not currently earning a secured high rate of return? Now, let me say that again and reword it just a little bit. Do you have IRA or a bank CD that's not currently earning a secure D, with a D, secured high rate of return? Now, a couple pieces on that. I like the second one better because most of the people you're going to going to say about, like we say, investment capital, they might glaze over. But if you say bank CD, they're on it. They know what it is. And many, many, many of my lenders have bank CDs. And so that's your script. You have IRA or a bank CD that's currently earning a secured high rate of return. Now, you heard me come back and caveat on this word secure. You cannot say to a private lender that the loan is guaranteed or low risk or secure. So with the word secure in this little script that I'm giving you, you always, always, always want to have a D on it, because it is what? It is secured by a mortgage, a promissory note, has insurance, lender, title insurance, and disclosure. Same thing I talked about earlier. Okay. Now, some of them are going to say, no, I don't have any money. Then you're done with them. Don't chase them. Obviously, they're broke. But let's go over to the other side on people that we're looking for. If somebody says, well, what are you talking about? Then I give them this script. It goes a little bit longer. I say, I'm a real estate investor in Springfield, Ohio, and at times I borrow money from folks just like you. I pay a high rate of return. Can I tell you more? I'll say it again. I'm a real estate investor in Springfield, Ohio, and at times I borrow money from folks just like you. I pay a high rate of return. Can I tell you more? Now, a couple things on that. This is a terse statement. What I have trouble with sometimes with my students is they want to write a book. They want to tell them everything that they know. I don't want you to do that. All we're doing right here is seeing if they want to play. All right. And so I said, I'm a real estate investor in Springfield, Ohio, and at times I borrow money from folks just like you. Now that draws them in a little bit, because that's exactly right. I'm borrowing money from folks just like them. The next line, if you miss this next line, then you might as well go home. Okay. I pay a high rate of return. Actually, that's the only thing they hear, maybe. I pay a high rate of return. And then how'd I end this? Well, I ended it with a question. Can I tell you more? Now, that's a closed-end question, and a lot of my students have worked to have an open-end question. An open-end question would be better, but I learned it this way, so it's the easiest way for me to say it, and it works. So that's the way I do it. Now, I got one last script here that I want to use. It's very short, but this is how I ask for money. So rather than, some people might stumble, you might stumble on how do I ask somebody to start loaning me money? I have a very kind and courteous statement. I say, are you ready to get involved? And just like that, they're going to say yes, or they're going to say no, or they're going to say maybe. So if they say maybe, then what I do is I give them about 7 days to think about it, and I call them up, and we go from there. And after that, one other thing I want to tell you is I don't chase them after that. After I do that follow-up in 7 to 10 days, if they're still on the fence, I'll let them come to me and go from there.
Wonderful. I love that follow-up. Are you ready to get involved?
Yeah, that's a killer. It just works like
awesome.
magic.
I have a follow-up question from Brad. Can I jump in real quick with a follow-up question? Brad says, I understand we don't say secure. Can we say insured since the property has insurance? And I think you went over that last week. Do you want to go back over that?
I've never heard that before. But that's a good idea. Yeah. I think you're okay with that in part because it is insured. You're right. I've never done that. I like the way I did it. But I think you can do what you're talking about too.
Thank you so much. Okay, Tim, go right ahead.
I've got a question that's kind of similar to that. We know that you cannot guarantee the loan with the lender, but we should talk about that a little bit more so my students can understand why they can never guarantee the loan.
Oh, thank you for that. Yeah. I need to dig a little deeper on this, don't I? Here's what happens when you have private lenders out there. There's the fundamentals of buying and selling property, but there's also a rule book, and I really teach this on Saturday. I get in depth on this, but on these words that I brought up, like secure or secured, low risk, and guarantee, those are rules that the SEC has set up that we're not allowed to say And the reason being is because they see that as misleading the private lender. And they never, ever want us to mislead anybody, okay? So here's what you want to do. If somebody says, is my money secure? I can see 70, 80% of the folks asking that question to you. And if they say, is my money secure? Then here's your answer. And here's what I say. Here's what I teach my students. I say this. We all know real estate is risky. Therefore, I can't promise that your money is secure. But what I can do is do the same thing that a bank does on your personal resident. Is I'll give you a mortgage, promissory note, hazard insurance, lender title insurance, and disclosure, the same basic forms that a bank gives you, and I don't over leverage the property. And that's what I do, and I'd like to know if you're ready to get involved.
Perfect.
Okay, thank you.
Mark has a follow-up question. He says, so if you're buying a home at 60 to 80% of the ARV, do you get 100% financing? Do you typically have skin in the game?
No, yes and no. Yeah, there's 100%. Yeah, I don't put my money in it 100%, and get 100% financing. I don't put any skin in the game. No.
You have experience, knowledge, and trust.
Right. Track record.
That's right. Exactly.
Yep.
Okay, Eric, we're passing it on to you, sir.
Well, I think you kind of answered this earlier about making monthly payments or doing it when the deal is done. Which do you do more of? Do you tend to do more monthly payment setups or?
Well, I started out that way. In fact, I did it for years. In fact, I thought that was the only way to do it, the way I had it set up with Mom. And this will sound crazy, but when I started getting private lenders, 2 years after I got started in real estate, I asked Mom to loan me money. And the going rate back then was 15% interest. And so over time, the market changed and went down. And I got feedback from my private lenders that 15% was too good to be true. So what I did was I lowered my interest rate to keep them happy. So I get a laugh on that, but that's exactly what I did. And I did two things. One is I stayed with the monthly payment because it worked. And the other option I gave them was no monthly payments. They got paid when I got paid, and I let the money accrue. Okay. I didn't think anybody'd take the second one. I thought I'd just put it out there and see if anybody would jump on it. Half my lenders jumped on it. It's the people out there that have these IRAs and that don't need the monthly payments. You see them. So when somebody's got a money in a 401k and they don't take payments out of that. Typically they let that grow, don't they? Well, when they get retired and get laid off, they roll that money over into an IRA for us, so we can buy our property, and they have that same feeling. Hey, I don't need monthly payments, and so it was very simple. And half my lenders did it, and they got 12%. Then what happened was the market changed again, and that's when I got down to where I started doing this 5%, 6%, 7% range. And then I looked at my business. I said, I'm doing things 3 different ways here. Let me have different percentages so people can pick the option that they want. Now, I should have said this sooner today, and I'm glad this came up, because I said if you're letting this money accrue and the going rate would be 6 or 7 or 8%, well, if you only have one program, you could offer 5%. I had to do the difference because I stair-stepped my business in the different options that I gave my private lenders. If you only have one option, you can be lower. Think about that. that. So that's very important. Yeah.
I probably should have asked what kind of interest rates you provide, but you just kind of answered that. It depends on the situation. Plus, I thought it was really interesting that 15% was too good to be true. So, okay, great.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy? Yeah, that's the way it was, though. And then I lowered it, and then, all of a sudden I had this this beautiful new option out there that I hadn't even thought of. I didn't expect anybody to bite on it. And here half did, 50%. No monthly payments.
Awesome.
Nice. Thank you.
So, Alan, I've got a question. I know that everybody's super excited about learning about private money, but a lot of us are new to doing this. So what do you think is the biggest mistake that new real estate investors make in regards to how they finance the deals?
Wow. You folks are going to write this down. The first thing on mistakes is people hear this thing about private money, and the first thing they do is they run around and ask people for money, and they probably don't do it right, obtain it, or do something illegal and don't know it. And so it's a lack of training. In fact, this whole business, the foundation, and I preach this to all my students, is you got to get some great training. That's why I'm excited about what you folks are doing. I think the system that you got set up out there, where I get to visit a lot of different groups, and then we have pull everything together for Saturday workshop, is gold. I think people are going to just love it. But it's the lack of training, number one. Okay. So what kind of training do you need? Well, there's only 4 parts of a real estate deal at the very top level. So let's just stay with that rather than getting down into the detail. But what's the 4 things? Number one is you got to find a property that you can make money on, right? So we got to find a good deal for us. Number 2 is money, which is what I'm all about. All right. Number 3 is we typically enhance the value, rehab it, or maybe just paint it or something, but depending on what we're going to do with the property. So that's the next part. And then the last one is we either keep the property or we sell it. All right. So those are the 4 different areas. So we need to have the training in all 4 areas. Okay. Where I come into play is on number 2 is on the private money, and help people, because it's the best, easiest, cheapest, and safest way to go fund your real estate deals. When you go to a bank, they charge you different fees and things like that in the funding. But what happens with private money, it's the cheapest way to do it. You go through an attorney or a title company, and it's an all cash deal. Okay, so you don't get all that stuff built up. There's a third item on this, and that is lack of systems. That is lack of systems out there. So what I have created, remember I said something earlier about where I hired this guy, and he came in, and in 3 months, he had bought me 21 houses. And this is a guy that didn't have the real estate education that 99% of you do. It's all because I had 2 systems. I had a system on how to buy property, and I had a system on how to fund it. And so you need those 3 things, I think, are the basic. You got to get good training. You got to get good in all 4 areas. Okay. And lack of systems. If you don't have systems, then you're going to stumble and bumble. In my company, and some of you will fall out of your chair on this, I've got 19 checklists. When I go around the country, if I got 100 people in front of me, and I ask people how many folks have a checklist, I might just get a handful of folks, and I'll say how many have more than 2, and it's rare that I get a second hand going up on that. Most people might have 1, but they don't have 19. So I put together 19 checklists. Why? Because I systematize my business.
We fully agree with checklists, right, guys?
Yep.
That's
Absolutely.
Dennis's thing is checklists. So we're very familiar with checklists.
Well, I mean, for all of us being down the road on real estate, it eats up a lot of our time. A lot of times we're trying to, have a job and things like that. And so to go and take the time to put together a checklist seems painful, but it's painful if you don't do it.
Right.
Over time. And you can get burnt. Just think about somebody that's going to go put signs up on a property that they just bought. They come out of closing, and now they want to go put up signs, take pictures, and put a lockbox on the door. And they get to the property, and they get out. They take their pictures, put a lockbox on the door, put some staging material in the kitchen, and then they go out for the signs. They open up the back of their SUV, and they forgot them. And soon they have to do what? They have to truck all the way back to to the house or the office and get the signs and go back. Well, that is waste. That is waste, and that eats up a lot of our time. Whereas if you had a checklist, what would happen? Before you left the office or home, you'd have it done. You'd have it in the trunk.
Forgot it.
Yep, you wouldn't forget it. You'd be off to the races.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Excellent. Well, I have a question.
Yeah.
So if I've structured these things one way, but just pick one of a typical deal. How would you structure it from beginning to end?
Well, thinking back, I had a conference call once to where someone asked me a similar question, and the other person, he said I would get the property first, and then that would make you pucker, so you have to go get private money. And I didn't like that way. I said, I don't do it that way. I go find a private lender first, and then it's easy for me to go do a deal. In fact, one of the things I hear from my students is the fact that the way I teach is it gives them the confidence to go out and do deals, and it makes their life so much better. The bulk of the testimonials that come into me talk about the fact that they now have confidence to go out and do the deals. So on buying, let's talk about that for a minute. One of the things I've set up in the past is where I had a college kid, and I gave her a list of 13 questions to ask somebody, on things I wanted to know if I wanted to buy that house or not. And then her going through that list, I guess it's another checklist, isn't it? To where it would tell me whether I wanted to buy that house or not. I would see how motivated they were. And so I'd sort it out. And then what that did was paying her, she was tickled to get a low wage, and she was tickled to work hard. And she would give me this stack of paper, and then I would decide who to call and who not to call. And that was one of the systems that I set up on buying houses. And that was awesome. Awesome. Then on the private lenders, I have scripts, and I've given those to you. We went through those earlier. And so by having those, I like to answer your question on the structure. I like getting the private lender first, then doing the deal. And I know that might not be exactly what you were looking at, but I think it's very important that people see that. You can lose deal. You go out and try to do a deal, maybe you put some money down, all of a sudden you can't come through. Well, because you can't get the money, or you can't get the money. So I think it's important to get the lender set up first, and then they're normally happy and ready for you anytime when you're ready to pull the trigger on the thing. That's my thoughts.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Well, I think you've already answered one of my questions. The lender doesn't just hand you the money because you run it through a title company.
Well, they try. Here's the deal. Private lenders trust you. They loan you money based on the fact they trust you. I've had a lady come up to me and hand me a $110,000 check, and I don't want to take it because I am very adamant that the money has to be secured by real estate. I don't want one of these things come up to where the money goes to the wrong place and I can't finish a job or, get the deal done. And so, I've seen people in my area do that over time, and they get in trouble. And so I never take the check, and I preach that. I don't want that. I want the money secured by real estate. And the way you handle the check is you have them send it in to the title company or the attorney, if you can do that in your state. And then I call up 7 to 10 days in advance to have them wire the money in, and then once it's there, then I can pull the trigger on setting up closing. We go from there.
Okay. Along that lines, this is a different question. So you just said, I want it secured by real estate, and yet we're not supposed to use the word secured. So how do you communicate that to the person you're
I
doing the
don't,
deal with.
I want the D at the end of that. I don't want, yeah, I see where you're coming from on that. But on this case where it's the money, let me put it this way. The money could be not secure. The market could change and something we couldn't, handle. All right.
Yeah.
So we can't mislead a lender, but to tell them that the money is secured by real estate, I think is okay.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you.
So from your methodology, if you had to start all over again, if you had to start at zero and you just went out into the streets one day and had to pick up new properties and new money, you would do the same sort of thing.
Here's what I'd change. I guess back then I was a slow learner when I got started. Here's what I did early on is when I got into real estate, actually I got into real estate because I watched a TV commercial one night at 2 a.m.
Yeah.
and got it, got the system and then started, going that way. But what happened was I didn't get private lenders in. It took me 2 years to where I figured it out after going to some events, things like you're doing. And I got it figured out to where I could get somebody to loan me money. And so 2 years after I got started, I got 2 lenders. But then I didn't see the power and the potential of private lenders because I was still going to the corner bank and getting loans. And they would loan me money. Why? Because I had an income. I had an income coming in from the company I worked for. I got a paycheck. I languished another 4 years. Now that's 6 years altogether. I languished another 4 years before I got private lenders. And the trigger was on why I started to go after more and more private lenders and learned how to do this was I quit my job. The company had a layoff. I had been doing business with a couple banks for years and years. I never thought they'd quit me. And I'll be darned if they didn't quit me. And so the day I quit my job is the day the banks quit me. Now, that's a bad deal when you've been in this company 17 and a half years. And here you quit the job. And now you're free falling. You got nothing. And so what I did was I had been asking, Mom and this other guy, Ed, for money, but I needed more. I needed it fast. And so I held a meeting and I got a meeting and 18 folks showed up and I'd spent hours and hours and hours putting together a PowerPoint presentation. I was skilled in corporate America doing PowerPoint presentations. And so I just moved it over to this business and put together that. And I got up in front of these folks and I told them about my real estate education. I told them about my business and, and my dreams and aspirations. And then I just flat asked them to loan me money and it worked. It worked so well. I did it the next month. I had 12 folks show up, did it all over again, worked again. And that presentation has served me well for the years and my students. And so I got $1 million out of those 2 meetings and never looked back. One of the best days of my life was the day I quit that job. It felt like the worst day because the banks quit me, but man, it changed my life. I'll tell you that.
Nice.
Well, as you can tell from what's been told to us all tonight, there is a wealth of information that Alan is going to bring to the table. And he is going to be coming in 2 weeks on the 16th, 17th, 18th. They're going to have it up here on the screen here in just a second. But if you want to go and see him live and hear him train on this, we're going to have him on Monday night in Arlington. This starts Monday, August 15th through Friday, August 19th. And then a master class is going to happen Saturday, August 20th. So we've got locations Monday, Arlington, Tuesday, Wichita Falls, Wednesday, Waco, Thursday, Longview. That's where we are. Friday, Denton, and then Saturday is the master class. And Alan will be the first to tell you need both parts. So go to a local meeting near you and then plan to come to the Saturday master class. You need both parts. So we're so glad you joined us tonight. Thanks for being with us. Karen, do you have anything else before we go?
I think that was it. We did have a few questions, but I just told them I'm sorry we were running out of time. So come to the weekly meetings, the 15th to the 20th. And Mark, your questions got answered because she just gave it to you. So
Yep.
$45. $45. Somebody said last week that's less than a tank of gas, guys. And Alan's going to teach you how to find money.
All right. Have a great evening. Thanks for joining us.
Yep.
Take care.
Bye.
Yep. See you everybody here in a week or so. Take care.
All right.